Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are joining me. Happy, happy, happy day. So I'm Kelly Hugert. Sounds a little bit like yogurt, and thanks for joining me today and or watching the replay of this presentation. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about mind-body medicine for chronic illness, especially from the perspective of a highly sensitive person, since not only am I a highly sensitive person, but that is majority of my clients as well. And I also work with highly sensitive people who have been victims of narcissistic abuse, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I can figure out how to advance the slide. And just minimize that. All right. So in case you're new here, you've never met me before, I'm Kelly Hugert. Hey, y'all. It sounds a little bit like yogurt. Excuse me. My great grandmother was an herbalist, a granny healer. And so I have over 40 years of experience with holistic studies and holistic practice. And in the last 6 or 7 years, I've actually integrated mind body medicine into my practice as well, which includes hypnosis, breath work, and such. So, as a phytotherapist or a clinical herbalist, clinical aromatherapist, again, I've been doing all things holistic for about 40 years now. And I work with people who have EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, IBS, migraines, and other types of chronic conditions. Typically, right now, I'm mostly working with people who have POTS, dysautonomia POTS. And however they've got to that place, that's typically the people I'm working with right now. But I'm also a board certified hypnotherapist, and I hold advanced certifications in clinical and applied hypnosis, somatic hypnosis, cognitive behavioral hypnosis, and a bunch of others that I won't mention right now. And of course, as a phytotherapist or as somebody who uses plant-based therapy, I also weave in the practice of traditional Western herbalism into my integrative practice. So this is me actually climbing Diamond Head in Hawaii, which is something I never ever thought I would ever be able to do, especially as somebody who has POTS. I actually went from being married to the couch. I could barely move. I was passing out all the time. And as a matter of fact, I passed out one time and I was taken to the emergency room. And the medical doctor tested me for drugs and alcohol, but refused to call my cardiologist because he thought I was just drunk or drug seeking. So, as a highly sensitive person, I know exactly what it feels like, not only to feel the pressures of life, but in my case, I was a victim of narcissistic and sociopathic abuse, which not only led to complete burnout and complex PTSD, which I've talked about as well on my blog and in my book, but this extreme stress also led to the triggering of an underlying medical issue called dysautonomia POTS, which in my case is genetic. A lot of my family members have it as well, and has it. But anyway, so excuse me. So in my case, I always had like mild symptoms of it, but it was never really severe until again I was a victim of long-term narcissistic and sociopathic abuse. So conventional medicine failed me. I went to my cardiologist. I did not get my diagnosis until I was probably 37 or 38. And he said to me, all your symptoms, that you've been having are explained by this situation, by this disease set called POTS. He said, but we don't know how to help you. And he said, my suggestion is, he actually referred me to the nurse practitioner who knew more about dysautonomia POTS than he did. And she said, my suggestion is to try Reiki. And of course, I'm a Reiki master. I've been a Reiki master for a lot of years. I do self Reiki all the time. And so I told her, I said, well, with all due respect, as a Reiki master, I will tell you that I'm already doing that every day. And she goes, oh. And she said, okay. And I said, any other suggestions? So they gave me Florinef, which I cannot take. It actually made me worse. And other people who in my family who have this as well have not been able to take the medicine. So I was also medically gaslit for many, many years as well, which doesn't help. I wrote a blog on that. You can go to my website, kellyhuger.com, if you want to check that out. So what I did was I thought, you know what? I'm an herbalist. I've been an herbalist for a lot of years. I'm a functional medicine coach. I thought, this is a perfect opportunity for me to really dive deep into the literature and see how I can help myself. And so that's what I did. And now I'm sharing those tools and techniques with others. So right now, I want to talk a little bit more about why highly sensitive persons, empaths, intuitives, whatever terminology you like, or even neurodivergence, because HSPs are neurodivergent, why are we more prone to chronic conditions? And so, as far as HSPs are concerned, and like empaths, we have HSPs really have this deep sensory processing difference. It's not bad, it's just a difference. And it really helps us to feel things in a deeper level. But in doing so, it really impacts our nervous system, especially when we're feeling negative things for this deep level. And it can make us more vulnerable to not only chronic stress and inflammation and burnout because of the sensory processing difference, because we feel very, very, very deeply. And so then what happens is over time, we can have what some people call adrenal fatigue. That's not really the scientific term for that, but it doesn't make a difference. I think you know what I'm talking about. Really, we call that allostatic load or allostatic load burden is what I call it, just to help people to understand it a little more. But over time, this extreme stress can lead to not only completely destroying the HPA axis, but also hormonal imbalances as well. And then, of course, can lead to chronic pain, autoimmune issues, gut issues, anxiety, insomnia, and this type of thing. So, what ends up happening here is, and this is a really great analogy, is that it's kind of like when you've neglected your car, and it's not your fault. You don't know what you don't know, but this is why we're here talking now. But when you don't put oil in your car, or the oil is low, or you're not, putting the right things in your vehicle, you're going to see all these lights go off, right? And so that's kind of the way it is. Now, one of the things I see the most with people is they ignore all the check engine lights coming on, this light's coming on, this light's coming on, and they ignore it and they keep going and going and going, which is what I did. And I was also a wildlife rehabber as well as an herbalist and a homeschool mom too. And so I just ignored all of my body signs. And a lot of that was because of the abuse that I was in and which that was very difficult. And even being bullied and I couldn't even eat the way I was supposed to eat because of the abuse. But anyway, so I say all that to say that over time, ignoring those symptoms and signs in our body can cause us to completely crash. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for anyone. So I'm going to share some tools with you today. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about like how breathwork, hypnosis, and some of the plant-based medicines can actually support your nervous system to help bring you more into balance. Now, again, this is not an overnight fix. I work with my private clients in a 3-month program where we go through these tools and we integrate hypnosis and breathwork and really, really help nourish the nervous system and get some support, as well as using hypnosis, which can support epigenetics, which can also support you to heal. So, and tap the word heal in the chat if you are ready to reclaim your health as an HSP. I know I was. It was very frustrating to have to be a very, very active person. I'm a martial artist as well. And to be stuck and married to the couch. And really, at the time, my then long-term partner at the time, I'm using vague language to not identify that person. But at that time, that person said, you may have to get on disability. And that's not something, I was very, very disabled, very, very disabled. But I just didn't want to give up on myself. And now, do I still have POTS? Yes. Am I ever going to be completely cured? No, it's a part of my, my genetic makeup. But I have way better days. Again, I climbed Diamond Head. Yesterday I was outside doing martial arts on the porch. practicing one-legged balance kicks. And the day before that, I was climbing trees. And the day before that, I was climbing up the side of a mountain here in West Virginia looking for snakes. So now I don't say that to brag. I just say that this is the power of using these tools and techniques. All right. So the key takeaway here is you're not broken. Your body can have more good days with the right tools. And I'm going to show you some of those tools right away. So phytotherapy, plant-based medicine, herbal medicine, whatever you like to call it. I'm a bioregional herbalist, but I also use some plants that are out of the region as well. So medical herbalism, clinical herbalism, whatever terminology you like. We're using the term phytotherapy now because it includes flower essences, aromatherapy as well. Now, I may not talk about flower essences, but I have a whole lot of flower essences that I really love for this as well. So I might throw you in a freebie there. We'll see. I'll see which one wants to come into my mind to play for this. It would probably be dogwood, actually. Dogwood flower essence, actually, I was actually just climbing the dogwood tree a couple of days ago. But dogwood flower essence is really, really great to help you feel like a kid again. So there you go. There's one of the flower essence suggestions. I did not do a slide on that, but maybe next time I do this, I'll do a slide for you guys on that. All right, so let's talk about some of the herbs that can be supportive. So some of the herbal therapeutics that I like are herbal adaptogens and herbal nervines. Now, I also, when I'm talking with my private clients, we also talk about trocho restoratives, they call for it as well. But for the purpose of our discussion today, let's just talk about these plants to kind of get you started. Now, I also love some other adaptogens like ashwagandha as well. But again, we're going to talk about what we have here today that can be very supportive. So rhodiola is really, really great because number one, not only is it an adaptogen, but it can help with energy, focus, and then stress resilience. So the term adaptogen actually just means it's an herb that is a non-toxic herb that can help the body adapt to stress. So this can help balance cortisol and whatnot. Schizandra berries, which I really, really love, not only can help support liver and really detox the liver, but can help endurance and also can, again, help support adrenal balance as well. Now, really, these working with a clinical herbalist is imperative because some of these can be drying and we have to know your constitution as well. Another one I really, really love, and I grow this as well, is Tulsi or holy basil. And I absolutely love this as an elixir with a little honey because it's got that nice little spicy. And then, of course, the local honey. I'm a beekeeper as well. Can help with your allergies too. I love this because it can really help calm the nervous system and it actually can support immune function as well. So this can balance that immune system out. Now, some of the nervines that I like, and I grow a lot of my own herbs, obviously, as an herbalist. Lemon balm and Melissa officinalis, absolutely love it. Has high compliance because it has a great taste. It also has a bitter principle. And so a lot of times when we're working with chronic conditions, we want to address the gut microbiome as well. I'm not going to talk about that in this presentation just because I have to limit it as well for our time purposes. But lemon balm has a bitter principle, which can actually support the digestive process as well. Didn't mention that here, but another thing is, again, it's high compliance because it tastes great. I did mention, yes, can support digestion because of the bitter principle. It's really great to help sleep at night, and it can help reduce anxiety. Now, I teach a lot of tools in my group program, excuse me, and with my private clients about ways to reduce anxiety. And then I have other supplements as well that I can recommend for those people who have like more extreme anxiety. This is a more mild herb. All right, so let's talk about passion flower, Passiflora lutea, or actually I use Passiflora lutea. Most people use Passiflora incarnata. I believe that I'm local, so I use what's local to me, and I grow these plants as well. And I love passion flower because not only can it really help reduce that overstimulation of the mind, it can also relax the nervous system. So I think about passion flower, especially when I have those clients who their mind is racing, especially at night, Or I think about passion flower as well when I have those clients where things are overly complicated because the doctrine of signatures, if you've ever seen the passion flower, the flower part of that plant is very complicated, is very intricate. And so that is the doctrine of signatures that shows us that passion flower can be really good for people who have complicated issues, and those with chronic illnesses typically it's complicated. So you drop the word chat in the comment box. I'm sorry, drop the word chat. Well, you do that too. I don't care. Hey, you drop whatever you want, right? As long as it's clean. Drop the word herbs in the chat box or the comment box. If you're ready to use herbal medicine to support your body naturally. And I'm actually one of those people who can't take medicines. So everything that I do is all natural. The only thing that I do really from conventional medicine standpoint is I do the Myers cocktail. So I do get IVs. Everything else I do is all natural, what we're talking about here. And I'm very transparent about what I do, and where I'm at in my private practice. So yeah, all right, so let's talk about phytotherapy again. And in this case, we're going to talk about aromatherapy. And of course, I'm a clinical aromatherapist as well. And these are my top three. So you can drop the word calm if you're ready to use some of these tools again to nourish your nervous system. One of my favorite, and there's a lot of research with this one, is lavender. And it is a sedative. So it's great to promote sleep and deep relaxation because it is a sedative. You can use it in a nasal inhaler. I love nasal inhalers. I teach nasal inhalers to my private clients and to my group program as well. As a matter of fact, all my private clients get access to my group program where I talk about a lot of these tools as well. So that way they can have, if they want to make their own medicine, they can do that. Peppermint, I really love peppermint. As a matter of fact, probably I actually grow it. I grow a lot of mints, but I love it because it's great for that foggy feeling in your brain, which often comes when people have dysautonomia POTS. So nasal inhaler, again, great way to use this, or, keep your little bottle and just kind of whip the bottle underneath your nose. I do not support any particular type of aromatherapy company. So I can recommend some places like Mountain Rose or, for example, or Acacia, but I don't get any kind of kickback from any type of company, just so you know. You can also put a couple drops on a cotton ball. I mean, that's the easiest way. Not everything has to be overcomplicated. I do have a diffuser. I love my diffusers from Floracopia. That's also another brand that has great aroma essential oils. Also, Eden Botanicals has them. Not Eden Garden, by the way. Eden's Botanicals, and then Floracopia, and Plant Therapy is other one I like. Plant Therapy has a really great blend that I make my own blends just because I'm an aromatherapist. But Plant Therapy has a blend that is very similar to my autonomic nervous system blend that I developed, and it is called Worry Free. So there's a little freebie for you as well. I have the roll on. I don't make as much stuff as I used to because I'm finishing up my PhD. So I'll get back to making all my own stuff then. But the worry-free one is very similar to the one that I did. And so that's something you can pick up, and you can just roll it on the inside of your wrist and your pulse point. Really great for reducing stress instantly. Bergamot, this citrus essential oil, really great to elevate the mood and to reduce stress as well. I don't really want to go over time. I don't want to overload you guys with too much information as well. So let's move on to breath work. I love breath work. I teach a lot of different breath work techniques in my group program, Wounded Heart Warrior. You can go to my website if you're interested in joining that group. And I teach a lot of different breath techniques as well in there, and also have hypnosis recordings too, if you're interested in that. But one of the breath work techniques that I teach to my private clients is 7-11 breathing. Very easy to do. You want to start, when you do this, you want to start seated. You want to stay seated. Make sure you're safe, especially if you are a fall risk, which most people who have POTS are. So it's very important that you maybe start this laying down. I'm not the boss of you. I'm assuming that you're an intelligent individual and you can make your own decisions. And but for that reason, still, I would, even if you're a fall risk at all, I would still start this in a seated position if I were you. So it's very easy. We want to relax the belly and really breathe into that breathe into that belly and really expand that diaphragm. So it's easy. Inhale in through the nose for 7, and then out of the mouth for 11 count. Good. Now, mostly I work with women. About 85% of my clients are women. So when I teach this to them, and a lot of them are that one of the first things I teach them is this, because a lot of my clients are in shallow breathing. They are not getting full breaths, and breath work can really positively influence heart rate variability. I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole nother slide as well. And I do talk about that on the group program as well. But we really want to increase heart rate variability. That nourishes the nervous system and also can be a huge indicator in chronic conditions. So the lower your heart rate variability is, higher your stress levels are, the more impact it is on your chronic condition. So we want to get that heart rate variability to a higher score, and breath work and some of these other tools like hypnosis, for example, are ways we can do that. All right, let's just spend a couple more minutes here breathing in for the count of 7, out. I encourage my clients to purse the lips and really control that exhale and really lengthen it out as long as they can. Some of my clients will come back to me like, oh, I can lengthen it out this much longer. Like, that's awesome. So breathing out through pursed lips. Good. Drop the word breathe in the comment section if you're ready to support your body naturally. This is an easy technique. I have a lot of other breathwork techniques again on my group program. If I have a couple clients who are not ready for this, so sometimes I teach them to 6 in, 6 out. So breathing in 6, breathing out 6, and sometimes people pair that to music, and they really, really love that as well. So let's talk a little bit about epigenetics. And epigenetics is, we are born with our genes, and yes, it says we're going to be brown haired or brown eyed or, blonde haired or blue, whatever. And we also know that epigenetics can influence our genes. So, for example, my granddaddy, Ira Miller, was probably about 6'3" or 6'4". I don't know. It's very, very tall. My grandmother was like 5'10" or 5'11". All the Millers were usually really tall. And so that would be his genetic makeup. He was born to be tall, and his genes express that. Now we understand that influence, like stress and environment and thoughts, can actually influence that. So in today's time, he may have actually been taller if he had different environmental things, right? Or he could have been a little bit shorter, even though his genes said he was going to be taller because of the environmental aspects. So I only given you that analogy to help you understand that while our genes can shape who we are, epigenetics can turn on certain genes and turn off certain genes, right? And so what this means is that if your genes say that you have, now we can't change your hair color, right? We can't, epigenetics cannot change your hair color from brown to blonde. That's L'Oreal, right? That's L'Oreal. Those are not the type of things that we can change with epigenetics. But we can switch on genes that were switched on due to environmental issues like fight or flight or extreme stress or prolonged trauma. Then we can go in with neuroplasticity, hypnosis, and help rewire those negative thought patterns. And then in doing so, we can actually go in and turn on good genes that we want and then help turn off bad genes. Now, this is not an overnight process. Again, I work with my clients for about 3 months. But I do a lot of epigenetic hypnosis work, and I'm already starting to see a lot of great improvement with not only with myself, because I do this with myself as well, but with my clients as well. So some of the key takeaways here, not only are our thoughts and emotions can shape our biology, but hypnosis actually can activate through epigenetics the body's innate ability to heal. And so this is really what we want. We call this neuroplasticity, when we allow the brain to adapt and change through the use of tools like, for example, hypnosis or guided imagery or whatnot, other ways of neuroplasticity as well. So drop the word rewire in the chat if you're ready to take control of your health at a cellular level. And I also talk about neuroplasticity in my group program as well. All right. So one of the things that I see the most when people come to me is, a lot of times I see people spending a lot of time, energy, and money on either fad practitioners or people selling things through, um, that they really don't have an understanding of what that product is. They're really not professionals in that realm. But as a matter of fact, one of my clients a couple of years ago, she spent over $15,000 on supplements and tests and whatnot before she came to me. And she said, she, like, I just don't think I can spend any more money. And I said, I get that. Trust me, I get that. She ended up deciding to work with me, and we worked with, over a period of about 2 or 3 months. It's been several years ago. I don't remember how much time, but she actually messaged me. Actually a year or so ago, and said she is not only still doing well, but she said she was so glad she made the investment. And this is one of the biggest things that I see, as a practitioner and somebody who's been doing holistic things for, like I said, 40 years now. I see a lot of people buy fad things, or they buy something from their neighbor who started selling stuff. With all due respect, I'm not trying to be ugly to those people, but they don't have any knowledge, and they waste a lot of time, they waste a lot of money, and then they spin their wheels on social media asking what works for this and what works for this. And nobody knows the complete picture of their situation, and nobody knows the complete picture of their actual health. And so this is what is frustrating for me as a practitioner, is that a lot of time people actually spend way more money um, on stuff that doesn't work for them, or they spin their wheels, and we know time is money, versus just working with a practitioner who can actually work with you one-on-one and go through your entire health situation, and do a full consult and really tweak those things, and so make suggestions of supplements that are right for you, not your neighbor. You're two different people, right? So if you're interested in joining me, totally free, totally on me. It's a value of $500. But this is totally on me. If you are genuinely ready to really get your health back and get more spoons back in your day, like not only that I've done, but my clients as well, then I invite you to apply for this. You can go to the website, go.momokeli.com/hypnotherapy, and you can apply for a session there. There will be some questions that I ask just to make sure we're a fit. And I'm always ethical about this. If I feel like I can't help somebody, I will let them know upfront and refer them to somebody else. And or B, if we go through a consult and we feel like we're not a match to work together, then I will give you a referral to another practitioner. Totally ethical about that. So in other words, it's totally free for you. However, if it does look like we are matched to work together, and that I have the tool set that can support you, then I'll share that information with you with your permission, of course. But this is what I want really for you to ask yourself. What's it costing you? What's it costing you in your career? I mean, for me, it was costing me a lot. I couldn't do the things I love to do. I actually had to stop seeing clients for a while, so that cost me money. Um, and I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I was whatever. So that cost me, in relationships as well. In my case, I went through and did this deep, deep, deep dive and deep, deep learning because I have grandbabies and I didn't want to be laying on the couch and them say, Mama, why can't you play? I can now, as a matter of fact, this happened to me actually last year. But I still climb. I'm almost 55 years old. I still climb trees. Heck, I climbed that tree across the road. If I'll probably get myself up there and I'll be able to get myself down. I have to call the fire department. But I say all that to say that last year, grandbaby number one, we were talking about climbing trees. She said, Mama, you can't climb no trees. And I said, yeah, Mama can still climb. No, Mama's too old. Mama's too old. And so my daughter was sitting there. She goes, uh-oh, here it comes. And I looked at my daughter. I said, we hold my water? She said, yes, ma'am. And I went straight up that tree. And then, of course, I said, well, let's get a picture while we're here. So the next time he asks me when he's older and he don't remember, I can say, see, Mama can still climb trees. And yes, I do still climb trees. I go upside of a mountain looking for snakes and whatnot. I don't say that to brag. I just say that to say this is the power of this work. And I want that for you as well. Now, was it overnight? No. This is the reason why I work with people in 3-month program. And then once we work together, I always give them access to my private group as well so that they have support. But again, just go to the link and we can get you on the schedule as well. I currently actually have a waiting list for my 3-month program, but still want to get you on the schedule. And then if we are a fit to work together, we can open up a slot for you as another slot is closing. So that's not a problem. All right. So HSPs, highly sensitive people, I didn't even realize I was a highly sensitive person until, and I talk about this in my dissertation as well. I did not even realize what that was until I think I was about in my early 30s. I mean, I knew things. I didn't understand it, I guess. I knew something. I was different. I just didn't know. And so when I was in my late 20s, I think, early 30s, I read a book by Rose Tree called The Empowered Empath. And then later I began to understand neurodivergence and that I was an HSP. So it's your time, right? It's your time to thrive. Hypnosis can rewire your nervous system for resilience and healing. It can help you sleep better. I've gotten rid of migraines with hypnosis. The majority of the things that I have done, everything that I've done, actually, I'm talking to you guys in this breath work, hypnosis. I've gotten, I sleep better now with hypnosis. I got rid of my migraines with hypnosis. I had chronic IBS so severe that I was down to 100 pounds. I got rid of that with hypnosis, plus herbs and aromatherapy as well, obviously. So I'm actually doing this myself. I have done this. I am doing this. I see clients doing this. So I know exactly what it feels like. And from a practitioner's standpoint, I tailor everything to the client. I don't do a cookie cutter program. There's no hypnosis scripts. The client that is in front of me is the client that is in front of me, and everything is tailored to them because cookie cutter programs don't work. And just random suggestions on herbs can be, contraindicated to people. We don't know what people's energetics are like or what medicines they're on and whatnot. And so this is the reason why it's really, really important for you to work with someone who understands each one of those things. Even mostly a lot of medical doctors or sometimes psych docs will recommend herbs. And often I have people come to me and they are contraindicated for them. And sometimes it is doing them more harm than good. Now, if that medical provider, which I've yet to actually meet one who's actually a professional herbalist as well, I take that back. I took a class from a cardiologist who is also an herbalist about 5 or 6 years ago. And that's how I started doing, that was what helped me as well. But there's very few is what I'm trying to say. So you really want to make sure you're working with somebody who knows and who is really, really well trained and not just took, like maybe a couple hour class or whatnot. So again, there's the link to get on my schedule. Again, right now I do have a wait list, but I do have a client that is going to be finishing up here in the next 2 weeks. So I will have an opening as well. And again, there's a lot of tools that I didn't even mention. Again, you can't mention everything when you've been doing this for as long as I have. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comment box and I will circle back to them. Or message you. If you want to email me, you can, feel free to email me at kelly@kellyhuger.com. That's the website. If you want more information about the group program, it's not specifically designed for the chronic illness, but it is designed for the complex stress part to get you started. So it can get you started if you want to start there and then circle back. We can talk later about that. You again go to the website, it's kellyhuger.com, and you can go to Wounded Heart Warrior, and that can get you started on a lot of the tools that I've talked about today. Now, again, it is not a one-on-one program. So just want to make sure that we're real clear on that. All right, guys, I hope you have an awesome possum day. Poodle and the doggies and I are going to be playing today. We've got some training we got to do. I've got a couple of clients today, so it's going to be a full day for me. And don't worry, I've got the spoons for it, though. Don't worry, I got the spoons for it. All right, guys, I hope you have an awesome day and be blessed in all that you do.